right before the half, or he could drive on you. Oh!
10 times James Harden humiliated his opponents. James Harden is one of the most skilled ball handlers that we have in the NBA right now, and the highlights he has definitely shows that in spades. It got us thinking, how many times has Harden cooked his opponents? In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at 10 plays that Harden absolutely humiliated his opponents on the court. The first play, he had his defender looking in the completely wrong direction. Harden was slowly walking across half court with the ball in his hands. Harden went to show a crossover, which turned the defender to the right as he attempted to cut him off. But James rotated the other direction so quickly that by the time he was getting into the paint, the defender was just now turning around and realizing that he had just been completely embarrassed. Harden cruised right up to the free throw line and sank a nice little floater. Not without a little gasp from the crowd though, as they saw the move that shocked his matchup. This next play comes against the New York Knicks. Back when Kristaps Porzingis was on the roster, Porzingis was actually the man defending Harden on this particular play. Harden drove right into the paint and stopped hard, pulling the ball back and making Kristaps slip and touch the ground with both hands. He then jumped up to shoot, but chose to pass it out to an open man in the corner instead. While he didn't get to sink a shot to cap off a highlight, the fact that Porzingis turned and looked at the rim to see where the ball was so embarrassing that he turned it into a clip anyways. You never want to be faked out so hard that you don't know where the ball is. Moving on now. You didn't think that we would forget about his ridiculous crossover on Wesley Johnson, did you? Of course we didn't. James sized up Johnson out of the perimeter, and he was just eyeing the rim. The second he started to make his move to attack the basket, Johnson got in front of him. Instead of just trying to power through the contact, Harden pulled the ball back and stepping behind the three-point line. Johnson fell onto his butt and looked at Harden, who was just standing there staring at him as he sat on the ground. Johnson slowly got up, but another player sprinted over to try and contest the jump shot. To make it even worse for Johnson, Harden splashed the three-pointer right in the face of the help defender, and before Johnson could even get back over to him. Next, we have Harden crossing over a young Ricky Rubio on the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was dribbling around behind the three-point line and he realized that Rubio was playing intense defense. He used that to his advantage by making him use too much momentum at one time. Rubio went to reach in and cut him off, but James stepped the other direction and crossed him over. Ricky fell onto his knees and tried to turn, while still on the ground and defend him, which made matters worse for him. Harden set himself up behind the line and Rubio got right in his face to defend it, only for Harden to splash it right in his face and cap off the highlight reel play. It wouldn't be a James Harden highlight reel without him cooking up Patrick Beverley. The two obviously don't like one another, but James came out on top in this particular matchup. He crossed Beverley over really hard at the top of the key and almost turned him around completely, but he didn't spin. Beverley rushed back over to try and contest the now wide open look that Harden got himself, but he bumped dead into him while he was shooting, along with another defender that came to help him out. James sank the heavily contested three-point shot, and he was awarded a free throw on top of it. To embarrass them even further, he took the time to point out a few players that hit him while still sitting on the floor. You know it's never easy when a 7-foot center switches on a smaller guard out on the perimeter. It's even harder when you have to switch onto James Harden. And as Canter was asked to defend him in the middle of a possession, Harden danced around the three-point line, crossing him over a few times and looking for an easy lane. He eventually hesitated and got Canter to jump up in the air. Then he ran right around him and made Canter do a complete turnaround to try and relocate him. By that point, it was already too late. The crowd went nuts and Harden had a wide open layup right at his disposal. Then he made the signal that he was starting to cook, while Canter was looking around wondering why nobody came to help him out. There's a pretty good tell when a defender knows that he is defeated in the middle of a play. That was exactly the case here in this next clip. We saw it already with Wesley Johnson, and this time Dante Exum is the culprit. Harden was dancing at the top of the key and hit 2 strong crossovers to Exum. Neither broke his ankles, but they were enough to get him leaning each direction. James knew that an opportunity was about to present itself, so he did one more crossover and stepped back behind the three-point line. Exum was still going for the crossover and realized that Harden was all the way down there, loading up for a wide-open shot. There was so much separation in the play that he didn't even try to redeem himself. He knew that it would only make it worse for himself. This one may not look like a total crossover at first glance, but he definitely embarrassed his opponents regardless. Unfortunately, this play was against Jeremy Lin, while he was on the Charlotte Hornets. Harden was chipping away at him by doing multiple crossovers during the possession. He even pulled back once and nearly got him slipping, but Lin maintained his balance. He pulled the ball back out and attacked again. This time, while he stopped after a crossover, Lin stopped and slowly fell to the ground. Harden then quickly rose up and dropped in the mid-range jumper. Lin looked like he was pushed down, but he really just tilted over after the mean crossover by James. Even if he flopped, it really wasn't a great look for Lin that day. I feel bad for sharing this play, as Jamal Murray is already having to recover from a bad leg injury as we speak. However, it was just too embarrassing not to include. Harden was being defended by Murray near the half-court line, and he tried to reach in and steal the ball, but was unsuccessful. Harden realigned himself and drove to the left before quickly doing a behind-the-back dribble move and going to the right. The move was so nasty that Murray couldn't turn all the way and actually fell right onto his knees. Then he proceeded to make the worst mistake a defender can do after being crossed over. He got up and sprinted to contest Harden's shot, only to get it splashed right in his face. There's more though, he fouled him and gave him a 4-point play. Talk about embarrassing. Now, this last clip is a little bit different from the previous clips we have shown, but embarrassing nonetheless. Over at Harden's youth basketball camp a few years ago, he decided to give a kid a chance to defend him one-on-one. The kid was staring dead in the eyes the entire possession, avoiding any eye contact with the ball. Harden stared at him right back while doing crossover before flipping the ball up and over his head in the middle of the play, confusing the kid. By the time the dude turned around and saw the ball, Harden ran right past him and finished the layup. Even the kid knew that he just got beat. Harden has no mercy. With that, we wrap up this video on the 10 times James Harden absolutely humiliated his opponents on the court. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Also, remember to hit that bell icon so that you are always notified when we upload. See you all in the next video. Peace.